Hey guys, so as you can tell by the title of the video, today we are going to be talking about why I quit bedside. So if you follow me on the vlogs, you already know that I've left. I've been gone for like a month and a half, but if I am new to you or you are new here, then this is new news to you. And I want to apologize in advance. My apartment complex is having a pool party, so if you hear any music, that is what it is. But let's get into the video about why I decided to quit bedside. First things first, if you have been following me on the blog, you know that bedside was never something that I intended to do long term. I just could not see myself, and I knew this very early on in nursing school, that I could not see myself doing it for 30 years. It's just a lot of wear and tear on the body. I knew it was going to be a stepping stone to lead me to where I want to be. I just didn't know where I wanted to go. I just know that nursing was a route that I needed to take to sustain the type of lifestyle that I wanted and to put me in places that I wanted to be, and just elevate. So I knew that I never wanted to stay at bedside long term. So I'll go over my reasoning for leaving, and just a few things that kind of really determined, like, yeah, this is not for me. So one, I realized in nursing school that nursing was a business. It wasn't really about patient safety. It wasn't about getting patients healthy. To me, and this is just my opinion, you guys can agree or disagree, and I'm fine with that, but I just noticed a lot of things were geared towards money. So staffing, they weren't hiring people because of lack of money. That was the biggest thing. And to me, like, if money is an issue, which it's not, this is a billion-dollar business. People are always sick, people are always dying, people are always having babies. Like, it's just a revolving door. And that's the thing, that's what I felt like it was. I think I went into nursing naive, thinking that, oh, I'm gonna help people get better. And honestly, that is another reason why I decided to leave, because a lot of people don't want to get better. A lot of people get to a point where they feel like the pill or a pill is the quick and easy fix. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against like medication or anything like that. I think that it is a phenomenal thing. But I understand that the way that it operates is that if you're sick and we give you a pill, but you don't really understand the root cause of what's going on to you, you're gonna keep coming back. And that was kind of getting frustrating to me, because even me like explaining to my patients like, hey, you need to change your diet. And let me preface this by saying that I do understand if you are 60 something and you've been eating horrible your whole entire life, you changing your diet is not going to change your blood pressure instantly. You're going to need a pill. So I do understand that. But I think people just get in that mode or cycle where they think like, oh, I could just do whatever I want to do, or do what I've been doing that got me to this point and take a pill and I'll be okay. And that was frustrating to me, because the idea, at least what I thought, is for you to get better and for you to leave. And a lot of times, y'all, I see my patients come right back, keep on coming back. And it's just like, I don't know, it's just kind of frustrating to me, because it's like, why would you want to live that life where you're sick and you are spending so much time in the hospital on something that you know you can have control over? Like, you can get better. And like I said, I preface it by saying I understand that everything is not going to be fixed by lifestyle changes. I do get that. But I'm just saying that things that can, or the things that you can work on, I was just running into people who just really didn't have a desire to get better. And that was just frustrating for me as a person. As the business of a hospital, like, they love that. If I can get you to fix it, then you don't need me any longer, and then I don't make any money. So I do understand it, but I guess just coming from my standpoint as a person and wanting to help people, it was just kind of getting frustrated. And then that doesn't go to say that there weren't people who were like motivated to get better, get well, and never come back again. I definitely ran into those type of patients, but if I'm gonna be honest, most of the patients are just like, you know, they're not gonna change. And if you're a nurse, you understand what I'm saying. If you're a new nurse, it probably seems like, oh, like, I don't know, discouraging, but that's just the reality of the world. Not even in nursing. If you are dealing with your friends and your family and the things that just people go through in everyday life, like, a lot of people don't want to get better or be better. A lot of people are just comfortable where they're at, even if it's toxic or unhealthy. That's just how the world is. Another reason why I decided to leave bedside is because I felt like as a nurse, especially a travel nurse, you will learn that every hospital is not created equally. You will go to some facilities where they don't have resources. I'll put the video of my me a day in the life of a travel nurse. You guys will see on that assignment there was a lack of resources. One of my patients ended up dying. I was crying by the end of my shift. Like, it was just a lot going on. And for me, that's just a lot mentally. It is a lot to be put in that. Even though we only work 3 days a week, I think that assignment was 4, which that assignment made me realize I will never do 4 days again. Not by force. Like, it has to be an option. Like, I have to choose to do that. But that assignment really made me realize that patient safety does not matter. It doesn't matter. And also, especially if you're a travel nurse, if something happens to your patient, they don't care about you as the nurse. They only care in the sense of you're the person to blame. And I just didn't like that. I worked really hard for my license. Y'all know I documented my whole entire nursing school career. And to lose it because a company doesn't care about patient safety. It doesn't care if we have proper resources. It doesn't care about anything but making money. It was just like, yeah, it's a no for me. Like, I don't want to lose my license because there's so much you can do with your nursing license, and to lose it over somebody who can care less, or a corporation that can care less about you, it was just like, nah, I don't want to do that. On that assignment, that particular assignment, I had 7 patients. And I would say 7 patients is not bad, but I'm not going to say that because even in the best of circumstances, I do feel like 7 patients is a lot. But in that situation, we had 7 patients, no resources. And when I say no resources, we didn't even have a charge nurse. We barely had any techs or CNAs, maybe like one. And this was a huge hospital and a huge unit. We didn't have basic supplies like flushes and normal saline bags. And that makes your job even that more difficult when you are overloaded with patients and just the stuff you need to do, basic level stuff, flush the IV, you have to go to another floor to go find it. And it's just like, no, this is not what I want for the rest of my life. And then I started to notice that hospital was a lot. But even as I've gone to even like really good hospitals where I've stayed on assignment, the last hospital I was at, I stayed on an assignment for 6 months because it was easy. We had 3 to 4 patients. The unit was only like 15 beds. Like, it was an easy assignment. But even in that situation, there were times where my license didn't matter to the business, to the hospital. Patient safety didn't matter. And I don't know, that just bothers me, especially, y'all know we are taught, were we taught patient safety in school? I don't know. That term though, it's circulated so much, like it's such a big thing, like, oh, we care about it. But you will start to realize, this is just coming from my experience, but you'll realize on your own when you go into there, it really doesn't matter. It just really doesn't matter. And it just doesn't sit well with me. If you are not the type of person who will advocate for yourself or speak up, you can find yourself in some really unfortunate situations, or some situations that are very unsafe. And that's really unfortunate that we would even have to be put in that situation. So that was another reason why I left bedside, because I just felt like there were times where I'm just like, I can handle my own. I know when to say no, and I know when to speak up for myself, but it was the fact that I would have to say no, and I would have to speak up for myself. Like, this should be common knowledge that it shouldn't be 7 patients to 1 nurse and no tech. Like, that's common sense to me. And the fact that that doesn't register with them, that part bothered me. Even though I could speak up for myself and I can hold my own, like, it just didn't sit well with me. So that was another reason why I was just like, yeah, I know I'm not going to be doing this for much longer. So another reason that I made the decision to leave bedside is because it was just really emotionally draining for me. I am the type of person where I do have clear-cut boundaries, and I can, for the most part, leave work at work. But I will say, as a nurse, you're not just a nurse. You become a psychologist, you become a financial advisor, you become a mediator between families. Like, you become much more than a nurse. And that can be very taxing on you when you have your own life. You're not coming to work just to help somebody get better and pass out medications. Like, you are taking on so many roles, and not even just with your patients, just in a facility. And so when I say, like, you're not just doing things for your patient, but just even in the day-to-day of nursing, like, there have been times where I have been doing staffing, where I have been calling people off, where I've been calling people in, when I have to tell people, hey, our census is low, it's time to go home. Where I have been in positions where they're like, Shannon, can you be the charge nurse tonight? Like, you taking care of your patients and then taking care of things that they should be hiring people for or having somebody there to do, it's a lot. I'm not saying that it can't be done, because obviously I did it, but I just think when it comes to the things that we have to do as nurses, it just don't add up. And I feel like it's only nurses. I take that back. I have ran into some doctors where they were just like, I had to come in early because I had to cover for this person, and then they asking me to stay late and they don't have this together. I just think the whole nursing field, it needs to be revamped, but I'm not gonna be the person to do it. So it was just becoming too much for me. Like, and then also, like, when people are going through things, I know they don't necessarily mean harm, but there was one particular incident where my patient's grandchild had died in a very tragic way. And I know that the way that she treated me had nothing to do with me personally, but everything to do with what was going on in her personal life. And not making an excuse for it, but it was like one of those situations that she was kind of mad at the previous shift for what they did, and I was just kind of collateral damage in it. So no matter what I did, she was just gonna be pissed off at me. And I'm talking about pissed to the point where she was being very disrespectful for no entire reason, just because she was going through a lot, which I understand. But what I don't feel like is okay is for me to be called out of my name or something thrown at me. And that's another thing too, y'all. Nurses have to put up with a lot of verbal and physical abuse. Like, nursing is not all it's cracked up to be in the hospital, in bedside. It is a lot that comes with it, and it's just too much for me. Like, yes, I can deal with it. Yes, I know how to maneuver around it, but just because I know how doesn't mean that I have to deal with it. And it was just becoming too taxing on me mentally and physically. And then, not to mention, y'all know I work night shift. It was killing my body. Like, literally, it don't matter if I live 5 minutes down the street. Like, just being on night shift, it's just not good for your body. And so those are the reasons why I made the decision to leave bedside full time. It just wasn't for me. And I wanted to put this video out here so that everybody else can know that if you decide to make that decision, that it's perfectly fine. Don't beat yourself up or feel like it's the end of the road or feel like you can't do anything, because you can get bamboozled in nursing school thinking that it's about to be this glorious career, and it can, which we'll get to that. But once you're in it, it's just kind of one of those things that if you have never experienced it, you don't really understand. Like, you have to go through it to understand what I'm saying. And I don't want to discourage anybody who is in nursing school and who is watching this video, because if you watch any of my other videos, you know that this is a very lucrative career. This is one of the only licenses that I know that has so much diversity and you can do anything. The hospital is not the end all be all with nursing. It's just the route that I chose to go initially so that I can get to where I wanted to be, which I didn't know. And that's another thing. You don't have to know where you're going. That's completely fine. You can figure it out along the way. But once I realized that, I really worked towards removing myself from it, because I'm just not, I'll be honest, I don't see how people stay at bedside for 30 years. There is no possible way. Like, I just could not fathom me having to go to the hospital. I don't care if I work 3 days a week. I don't even care, even as a travel nurse, because that's the only way that I would consider it. But people who are just staff nurses, and I don't say just to be demeaning, but just saying like you're a staff nurse and you're not making adequate pay and you've been there for 30 years, like, I can't fathom that. I literally cannot fathom that. But I guess it just takes a certain type of person to do that. And there are people who absolutely love nursing at the bedside. I'm just not one of those people. So since I gave you guys the reasons why I decided to leave bedside, I'm pretty sure the big question is, what are you going to do now? So those of you who have been following my blog, you already know what I'm doing. But for those of you who don't know, I decided to open up a med spa. I will be honest with you guys, it is the most difficult thing that I have ever done in my life. Probably far more difficult than bedside, but I think because the reward is so high, I don't care. Let me take that back. It's not as difficult as bedside because I kind of can do my own thing, but running a business it's extremely difficult. It is a lot easier for me to clock in and do my 12 hours and go home. When you are a business owner, you are everything. There is no I guess the people like glorify being an entrepreneur and being your own boss, but let me tell you, it comes with a lot more responsibility. I am literally everything to my business. I am marketing, I am financing, I am social media, I am customer service, like, and I have a business partner, which definitely helps out, but it never stops when you own your business. Like, you are literally everything. However, the reward from seeing just my thought, like, it was just a thought. I remember my business partner, her name is Anna. I remember texting her at that assignment where I had said 7 patients, like, my exact words were like, we got to think of a way to get out of here, because she was thinking the same thing that I was thinking. And to see just a thought, like us brainstorming, like, we can do this or we can do that, and actually see it come to fruition, like a physical space, like, that is so rewarding. Also too, I never even knew about the aesthetic world, because that's what I do. For those of you who don't know what a med spa is, we basically offer cosmetic and medical procedures. So we do things like Botox, we do weight loss management, we do filler, IV hydration, vitamin shots. We offer all of that in our spa. But I never even knew that that world existed. I think that I found out there's a girl on YouTube, and we actually talk about our businesses. She had started a med spa here in Atlanta, and I started following her and just looking into it, and I'm like, oh, so this is a thing. Like, nurses can actually do it. And once I found that out, I hit the ground running and trying to figure out, like, that was basically my exit plan. Like, okay, I know, I knew that I didn't want to stay at bedside and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but after seeing her, like, she definitely inspired me to go after starting a med spa. And you guys, when I say, like, y'all can even see when I talk about it, it is like one of the best decisions that I have ever made. Again, like I said, it comes with a lot of responsibility. There are days where I am just crying because it is just so much to do. It is not for the weak. Being a boss or being an entrepreneur, I'm not going to glorify it. This is not some like, oh yeah, I'm big boss, I'm out here. No, it is hard work. I'm talking about consistently grinding, days where I'm not, getting sleep. It's times where I'm up all night. It comes with so much. But when you set out to do something and you actually, like I said, see it come to fruition, it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. So yeah, guys, so that is my story about why I'm leaving bedside, and what I decided to do was to open up my med spa. You guys let me know if you want me to do a video on how to open up a med spa, because I'll be honest with you, just figuring out that process was a lot, because your license is still very important with this. You want to make sure you have like all the legalities in place. But let me know if you want me to do like a separate video on how to set up a med spa. Because when I say, like, this is definitely it's a field that I enjoy. I love enhancing people's beauty. The women that I have met, the conversations that I have had, like, I just love it. It's just different. And those girls want to be there. Like, in the hospital, it's different because a lot of people don't want to be there. And so it's different when you're sick and you're dealing with somebody as a nurse versus somebody who is fine and they're just coming to enhance something. Like, it's two different dynamics, but I enjoy every moment of it, just even building things and just being able to say that I did it. Like, that was a huge accomplishment for me because I never, if you would have asked me 5 years ago, 10 years ago, me being a nurse, like, that would have never been an option. So to see me have grown and progressed and elevated to this, like, I don't know, it just makes me feel really good and I'm much happier. I am much happier as an aesthetic nurse than I was as a nurse who worked in the hospital. And that just goes to show you, you guys, like, you don't have to work in a hospital. You can do anything with your nursing degree. I say this a lot. There is no reason why you should be unhappy as a nurse because you literally can do whatever you want. You might have to do a little trial and error with some things, go try something out and see if it's for you or not. But you have so many options. Like, you don't have to be miserable. You don't have to deal with, patient abuse. You don't have to be concerned about patient safety. It's just like, it's a whole world. And the aesthetic world too is a whole world. I was thinking about making like a series talking about it because I don't really see a lot of people or nurses on YouTube who are into it. It's one of these things that is just like growing and people are just kind of like finding out about it. It's not old, but it's not something that has always been popular. It's kind of like now people are getting on the bandwagon and seeing like, oh, as a nurse that I can do this. So you guys let me know if you want me to talk more about aesthetic nursing and open up a med spa. I always want to put y'all on. I always want to give y'all the scoop about everything. And I have no problem like telling y'all that because us getting to this point was difficult. Like, just the research involved in it, it took a lot. So I have no problem letting you guys know like how to open up a med spa or answering any of your questions about it. So yes, guys, that's why I decided to leave bedside. That is what I have decided to do. Now, let me preface this by saying, y'all know I always equate travel nursing to like being a stripper or to being a drug dealer because it's fast money, like in a professional manner. Most people get paid every 2 weeks, and the money that we make as travel nurses, for me, I wasn't even making that in a month. So it can get very addicting. So if you guys do see me in the hospital, that's because the money is right. It's not permanent. You do a 13-week assignment that goes by like that, and you make your bag and you keep it moving. So that's not to say, especially with everything going on, we in 2 pandemics at this time, if the money is right and y'all see me there, know that is why, because it's easy money. Easy money, y'all know, in comparison, in respective to everything that I said, because now I have a little bit more experience. I can go to a facility and I can gauge if it's going to be some foolery or if it's going to be an easy assignment. And if it is going to be some foolery, I pretty much know how to manage. But I'm just saying that to say that if the bag is right, you might catch me in somebody's hospital, because I would be crazy not to go out and get quick money like that. Especially as being an entrepreneur. I will say that, preface that as an entrepreneur. One thing that I do miss is we don't get paid every week. A lot of our money gets put back into the business. We just got to a point where we have been paying ourselves. So I do miss that about the hospital. But I put myself in, that's another thing about travel nursing. If y'all watch my travel nursing videos, y'all know I rant and rave about being a travel nurse, because it put me in a position, one, to start my own business. A lot of it, we spent our own money. And I'm not saying that to brag, because now that I know better, I know that we should have got business credit and spent that money and not our own money. But I'm just saying that to say that travel nursing put me in a position to open up my own business, because aesthetic business can be quite expensive. And then it also put me in a position to make a decision and say, hey, I don't want to do bedside full time. I want to focus on my med spa, and I want to focus on my, becoming a full-time YouTuber. I was able to do that off of travel nursing. So it's not a bad thing if you have goals in mind and you stay focused and work towards them. Just have a specific thing that you're trying to work towards so that it all makes sense. But we're not going to talk about travel nursing here. This was me talking about bedside. So if you guys have any questions about that, again, like I said, if you want me to make the med spa video, I will. And that's the end of the video. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later.